I just think like a lot of times bisexual people are really, really quiet. The invalidating somebody, that like sucks. And it happens to me all the time.
Well, babe, let's get into it. I mean, the EP, Everything to Everyone. Like, babes, you have got some serious bloody range, haven't you?
Thanks. I try.
Well, it's so great. And the intro track, which is actually called Everything to Everyone, is something I think we all need on repeat 24/7. It does what it says on the tin. It's all about stopping needing to be everything to everyone all the time. I feel like I needed to hear this. How good have you been at building boundaries for yourself?
I feel like the second I started to like actually set boundaries in my life, I lost a lot of people. So it was very interesting to see who stuck around when I started to set those boundaries. It made and makes me uncomfortable because I love to people please, and I have like a really like odd dichotomy of like I really care a lot, yet I like don't. So I value my friends' emotions beyond belief. So it was hard to set boundaries, but I will say like I've lost a lot of people in my life from setting boundaries. And I'm so glad they're gone.
I love the brutal honesty of that, but that's what boundaries are all about. Because if people aren't going to respect your boundaries, then they shouldn't be in your life, right?
Exactly. I want so much in life, emotionally, physically, like career-wise. Like I don't have the emotional space anymore to like kind of make myself suffer. I don't. Like, I think I did that enough. I've done this since like 7th grade. 7th grade was terrible, by the way. But yeah.
7th grade was not cute for me either. Like, literally just thinking about that right now. I'm like, oh my God, poor Josh with zero boundaries was just desperate to make friends and did anything possible to try and make friends and then really never let go of that feeling.
Same. Oh, 100%. 7th grade was treacherous for me. Also, everybody's moms got fucking mean in 7th grade. Like, I don't know what it was, but I just remember all my friends' moms like really hated me in 7th grade. And I was like, what do y'all have against me? I was like, Carol,
babes, can we just have a sit down and have a chat about it?
Carol, if we could have a chat, then you shut up. That's one thing I learned on Love Island. Have a chat real quick.
Yeah. What do you think has been the biggest change you've made to your own mindset?
I don't like apologize for like my ambition anymore. I used to feel so like bad about, I think it was because I had a lot of like really, to be honest, like very, very, very insecure men around me and women. No, it's not just specifically men. Like I felt like I couldn't say my wins when I was around certain people. And I didn't realize until I got out of those situations that I was afraid to be like, I got this job or like I did this today because it would make somebody else feel bad. Looking back, that's crazy. I cannot believe I did that. And I will never let my kids do that when I inevitably have kids.
And so you should be. But I think our society's got such a problem with this idea of what an ambitious woman is. And it's just like, oh my God, what is there not to celebrate about a woman being in her full power, knowing her capabilities and getting out there and shining?
Completely. And it's also like, I've had a lot of that happen in like friendships too. Like, it's not just been relationships. Like I've lost friends in my life who are women, because all of a sudden they feel some kind of way and then they start saying something about me and I hear it and I'm like, where did you hear that? Like, I'm like, what? What? Like, I'm like, this actually is not computing for me or for you. And it's honestly just sad. But bonjour. Yeah.
I think the French word we're looking for is au revoir.
No. I was only there. Okay. I was only there for a couple days. Merci.
Merci, bitch, au revoir. I think that's the best French ever.
Bonjour.
What do you think music's helped you process the most?
Everything. I say this all the time, but like I've done every form of therapy. I've had every weird lady from the valley come to my house and like do some witchy on me. And like I've had somebody come and make me lay on this little towel that had like electromagnetic pulse things through it and made me drink some weird water that, to be clear, was like Dasani. She was like, this is charged with healing. And I was like, okay, I feel the same. And so, yeah, like music has helped with everything because none of that, the weird or like therapy has worked for me. And in music, I genuinely feel understood. I feel like I'm communicating to my fullest extent that day. I feel like I am making my most insecure, vulnerable moments into something that I'm proud of. Even if it's like a sad ballad, I'm like, ah. I actually literally, when people stream this song, not to be a Capricorn, but when people stream this song, I make money off of the you did to me. That's hot. That's hot.
You maybe made me suffer, but I'm literally getting the coin in the bank, and that's the real win there.
I'm like, you literally, babe, like you indirectly, directly bought me a car. Okay.
I feel like for you, you're really carving your own path in the music industry. You've got so much going on at the same time. But this is an industry that still has so much further to go in terms of turning up for women and representing women behind the scenes, front of scenes.
Oh, yeah.
What still frustrates you about where we are at with the representation of women in music and how they're viewed in music?
The like a very like candy coated answer that I think like every corporation loves to give, which is like happy feminism. Happy Pride. We have a woman who works here. We have a gay girl who works over here. And here is the other minority that we would like to call out over here so that we look good because the same 5 dudes or women who are just aggravating are working actually. So I get annoyed by the cover up. And I think that's everywhere, but specifically like in my industries, like music and Hollywood loves it. Oh my God. Like, look at all of these things we're doing. We're obsessed. We're, like, yes, change, all of this. And I'm like, you suck. You suck. Because that is not actually what's happening. That's just what you preach so that you feel better about yourself. But actually, you still do the same shit. And sometimes it's women, too. And I don't buy into it. And then people get mad at me when I say something about it. And so then I make enemies. And then I'm difficult to work with. Okay, fine. I'll be that. I don't mind. I don't mind at all.
I think that's such a negative thing that we get to in our society as well, in general, not even just inside your industry, but like if a woman speaks up, that suddenly seems difficult, and then in turn they get called a diva, and you're like, does that worry you, that kind of labeling?
It does to an extent, but I also have like a lot of agency in spaces just by like being a white woman, being a cis woman, you know, like that. If I'm going to get called a diva, odds are I'm still going to work. I'm still going to work. I've been called a diva. I probably will continue to be called a diva because like somebody will be, you know, being horribly treated. And I'm like, could we not? And everybody's like, shut the up. And but I have an agency in spaces where I will continue to work, right? Others do not. So I don't necessarily care because I have that grace to not care. And also it's just like, it's just, that just like kind of is what it is.
I Love You is Leighton in The Sex Lives of College Girls, which, FYI, for people listening in the UK, is out on ITVX right now. So run straight after you've listened to this to go watch. And she is an incredible character, not only because she is layered, but I love, like, obviously being a queer person myself, we love to see that queer representation. And I love her coming out scene where she says, I don't want my whole life to change. Because, oh my God, when I saw that, that hit me so in the stomach because I was like, that is exactly how I felt. How powerful was it to bring that moment to the screen?
Yeah, I felt like that was like the one day I was like, I'm not acting at all. I feel like I'm just like word vomiting stuff out. Because a lot of the conversations that we had season 1 specifically were, you know, in writing, one of our writers was like, okay, so like, what is your coming out story? How is this? And my biggest thing that I had said was I was like, my like queer representation was my cousin, who was a bit older than me, maybe like 7-8 years. And she was so like othered. in the family. And so just like talked about differently than everyone else. And I was like, I don't want that. And so it was really interesting saying that, and then also saying that publicly, because I think it was sort of like a kind of awakening to a lot of people around me. And again, I lost people in my life from that, and I'm so grateful. And I remember being so embarrassed because we did the table read on Zoom with like all of our like Warner Brothers executives and stuff. And I was like, oh my God, Reneé, don't cry when you read this. Don't cry when you read it. Because I was like, oh, it's a table read. Like, shut up. Don't be stupid, you know? And sobbed.
For you, what's been your journey to getting to the point of feeling comfortable in your sexuality?
I mean, the show definitely made it a lot easier, publicly and personally. I was really nervous. I grew up in North Carolina, and so I was really nervous when the show was going to come out. I was like, people are going to be so homophobic and so mean, and like, oh, they're going to hate me, and I was like, the gays are going to hate me because I'm not going to do a good enough job. Like, I wanted to impress the gays so bad. I was like, I have to impress the gays. I was like, I got to do it. I got to do it for us. I was so nervous. I would cry all the time. I'd be like, I'm not doing this right. I'm not doing this right. And it was like great, actually. I was pretty cool about it. And if anybody wasn't, it was more just criticizing like my outfits on the show, which I actually agree with. So I'm down.
I mean, that's such an interesting point you made, though, about acceptance, self-acceptance, because I think even if you accept yourself, we can still be in a place in our society where not everyone is always going to accept us. And I think specifically with being bisexual, there is so much biphobia still in the LGBTQIA plus community and outside of it, too, with throwaway comments like pick a team, or they refuse to believe it's even a sexuality. Have you experienced that yourself?
It's so wild. I feel genuinely whenever anybody asks me about this, I'm always very not afraid, but I'm always very like timid to talk about it because I feel like I upset someone every time I talk about it, and I hate upsetting people and I hate hurting people's feelings. Because I understand that there's a specific conversation surrounding bisexuality that like, if I, as a bisexual woman identifying, right? Like if I am in a relationship with a man, right? Or if I am in a heteronormative presenting relationship, right? I am afforded a different set of privileges publicly and societally, and even in my brain in terms of like misogyny and shit like that other queer people are not. So that has its whole own set of not pluses, but like of pluses. It really does, because it presents very differently. I completely understand that discourse. I agree with that 100%. The difference is like the invalidating somebody, that like sucks. It's just like not great. Like, and it happens to me all the time. It happened to me a lot more season 1, but like it still does. And then like I made a joke about it on the internet because people were being like biphobic to me, and I was like, well, you're so right, bisexual people aren't real. And then everyone was like, you're so biphobic, and I was like, bitch, I am bisexual. I was like, shut up. So I have my own sort of set of grievances. So I really I totally honor the conversation. I hate biphobia. I think there's a lot of interesting conversations around it. I just think like a lot of times bisexual people are really, really quieted, especially because also like bisexual men are viewed so different than bisexual women. Like when I came out to my friends as a kid, I will never forget this one guy was like, oh my God, every girl just wants to be bisexual because they think it's like a thing. And I was like, oh my God, I'm a fake gay? I was like, oh no, I'm not real. You know, and my mom even, and we're best friends and we've grown so much. But as a kid, she said to me, she was like, you should pick a side. And I was like, it's so loaded and it's so scary. People are also so mean about it. People are so mean about it. I'm like, woo, y'all scare me.
I think people just feel like they always know more about someone than they know about themselves. And it's just like, if I'm coming to you in a situation, I'm telling you, this is me. Listen to me, listen to what I'm saying, rather than just projecting your narrative, your thoughts onto me, right? Like, that's where we need to get to.
Totally. No, I agree. So I feel like I honor the conversation. around like it's a line to toe. It's a line to toe.
Well, like away from the show and away from the stunning EP, next up you are skipping off to go film the Mean Girls, the musical, the movie. I cannot wait for this. Babes, you're going to have to give me a tease. What can I expect?
Oh my God, you can. Ooh.
Is it going to be high camp? I need camp.
I think so. From what I've seen, from the deck that I've seen, I believe yes. I believe there will be campy elements. You can expect. Oh, you can expect new music.
Oh my God, what a tease! Screaming internally and externally at the same time. I'm dead. I cannot wait. Well, we always end, before you go off to literally go film and do the high camp thing and deliver it stunningly for us, to end the podcast, I just want to ask you one last question. And that is, in the reign of your life, what is the one rule you'll always live by?
Cheers to those who wish us well, and those who don't can go to hell.
Signed, sealed, delivered. Stunning way to finish.